Admiral Zekthara's six eyes narrowed as she studied the tactical display aboard her flagship. The swirling hologram showed what should have been impossible: a massive human fleet emerging from the void nebula, their ships bristling with weapons that shouldn't exist. "This is inconceivable," she hissed through her mandibles. "We glassed their homeworld 3 cycles ago. We hunted down every colony ship, every outpost, every last breeding pair." Her aide, a nervous Kethmari named Veloke, trembled as he delivered his report. "Admiral, our deep space reconnaissance confirms it. There are hundreds of vessels, all bearing human biosignatures, and their technology." He paused, his blue skin paling further. "It's beyond anything in our databases." The hegemony had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. When the humans first appeared with their crude chemical rockets and nuclear warheads, they were dismissed as another primitive species destined for servitude or extinction. But humans proved troublesome. They refused to kneel. They fought back against impossible odds. They inspired other species to rebellion. So the Hegemony Council made a decision that had worked for millennia: complete extinction. The human homeworld burned for 7 days. Their colonies were reduced to radioactive dust. Every human ship that tried to flee was hunted down and destroyed. The Hegemony's records showed 100% casualty rates. Humanity was deleted from existence, or so they thought. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Unbroken, watching the Hegemony fleet scramble to respond to their arrival. Around her, the surviving remnants of humanity, barely 10,000 souls, had spent 3 years in the Void Nebula, a region so hostile that no other species dared enter. They had rebuilt. They had evolved. They had become something more. "Status report," she commanded. "All ships reporting ready, Captain," replied her tactical officer, a young man whose cybernetic implants glowed softly in the dim light. "The Prometheus protocol is online. Quantum displacement drives are charged, and ma'am?" He smiled grimly. "The message pods are loaded and ready for broadcast." Sarah nodded. The message pods were crucial, not for the battle ahead, but for what came after. The Hegemony thought they had erased humanity's voice from the galaxy. They were about to learn how wrong they were. In the depths of the Void Nebula, human ingenuity had flourished in ways that would have been impossible under normal circumstances. Exposure to exotic radiation had triggered controlled mutations in their genetics. Necessity had driven them to salvage and reverse engineer hegemony technology. Most importantly, isolation had given them something the galaxy had forgotten existed: hope. "Admiral," Veloke's voice cracked as he updated his commander. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Every communications array in the sector is picking it up." The message that flooded subspace was simple, transmitted in the languages of 100 species. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the human vessel Unbroken, broadcasting to all enslaved worlds of the Hegemony. You were told humanity was extinct. You were told resistance was futile. You were told to submit or die. They lied. Humanity endures. Humanity fights. And today, humanity returns to light the fires of rebellion across every star system in this galaxy. To our friends among the stars, you are not alone. To the Hegemony, your time is over." Admiral Zekthara's flagship shuddered as the first wave of human weapons found their mark. But these weren't the primitive missiles and plasma cannons she expected. The humans had weaponized the void itself, twisting space-time into devastating singularity bombs that tore through Hegemony shields like paper. "How are they doing this?" she roared, her composure finally cracking. But the answer was already becoming clear across her fleet's tactical displays. The humans hadn't just survived in the Void Nebula. They had thrived. They had turned the most hostile environment in known space into their forge, tempering themselves into something harder than the Hegemony had ever faced. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the pride of the Hegemony's Fifth Fleet was nothing but debris and radiation. Only a handful of ships escaped to carry word of humanity's return to the capital worlds. But Admiral Zekthara was wrong about one thing. The battle itself wasn't the victory. The real victory was already spreading across the galaxy like wildfire. On Kepler Prime, the Altarian resistance cells that had been dormant for decades suddenly came alive, their leaders playing the human broadcast on every underground channel. On the mining worlds of the Centauri cluster, enslaved Kethmari workers began organizing strikes. In the Outer Rim territories, dozens of species that had submitted to hegemony rule began to remember what freedom felt like. The hegemony had tried to silence humanity's voice by destroying their bodies. They failed to understand that humanity's true weapon had never been their technology or their numbers. It was their refusal to accept defeat, and their ability to inspire that same refusal in others. 3 months later, Captain Sarah Chen stood in the ruins of the hegemony's High Command Center on Nexus Prime. The galaxy's oldest empire had crumbled not under the weight of humanity's weapons, but under the collective uprising of every species that had heard their message and remembered their own strength. "Status report," she said to her assembled officers, human and alien alike. "The last hegemony holdouts have surrendered, Captain," reported her new second-in-command, a former Kethmari slave who had joined the human fleet after the Battle of Kepler Prime. "The galaxy is free." Sarah smiled, looking out at the stars through the shattered dome above them. "No," she corrected. "The galaxy is loud, and that's exactly how humanity likes it." In the end, the hegemony's greatest mistake wasn't underestimating human technology or tactical prowess. It was believing that you could erase an idea by destroying the people who carried it. They forgot that some voices once heard echo forever across the void, growing louder with each repetition until they become a roar that shakes the foundations of empires. Humanity had returned, not just as survivors, but as proof that even the darkest silence could never truly extinguish the sound of freedom.